What's up, guys, in the works? And today we are playing a little bit of Rush Defense here on Gulf of Oman. And I know my last video was actually on Gulf of Oman too, my last Rush video. But hey, it's a good map. I like all the Karkan maps, and Gulf of Oman is possibly one of my favorite maps in the entire game. So when it comes up, I'm pretty excited, and I usually get a pretty good gameplay on it. But this particular gameplay is me with the Scar H as the Engie, and this is actually from what I have been dubbing the community game night. Snoov basically invited a lot of us to come to a server and play with him. He tweeted it out, and all sorts of different people were in here. You'll probably recognize me getting killed by them, me killing them, etc., etc. So many names out there. Just look in the end score whenever the scoreboard flashes up, and you'll see plenty of people you probably recognize. But a lot of fans, a lot of just random people, and it was a pretty good time. And I don't really post a lot of competitive matches on my channel. I'm not a competitive player. But this is a pretty competitive pub match, and that was exciting to me. I had a good time playing in this one. It goes right down to the wire, and I figured you guys would enjoy watching it. So hopefully the gameplay is up to par. It's a little bit more exciting than what we're used to. But let's talk about next gen. That's what we want to talk about in today's video. Next gen in Battlefield 4. Now, I mentioned in my previous video where I talked about the China Rising DLC and the Xbox One that I wanted to expand a little bit about what I wanted to see the next gen do as far as pushing Battlefield 4. Because we know with Battlefield 3, consoles kind of limited on the PC side of things. And just for a little background, in case you didn't watch that video, I did play on Xbox for Battlefield 3. I have over, I think, 150 hours played on Xbox. So I am a console player sometimes. I do hop on every once in a while. So I do care, how the console moves forward. And I think it's important because consoles are what a lot of developers, it gives the developers reasons to make these awesome games. And hear me out on this. I know I have a lot of PC players that watch my channel, but if it wasn't for consoles, we wouldn't be where we are in gaming because it gives the developers the money they need to make these large games. I mean, if they could only make them for PC, the scale, the scope, how big and bold Battlefield 3 was, I don't think it would have been possible because the sales wouldn't have been there. So consoles are important. Love them or hate them, they're part of gaming, and it's what kind of spurs these developers to spend so much money to develop these games. That being said, what do I want to see these new consoles do to push Battlefield 4 in the right direction? Now, we know that Battlefield 4 is also coming out on Xbox 360 and PS3, as well as the Xbox One and the PS4, but I have a sneaking suspicion that there's going to be basically two development cycles with that. I don't think that the old consoles are going to hold back the PS4 or the Xbox One. I think they'll probably set that aside. So there will still be some limitations on the current gen consoles, but the next gen consoles, there's a lot of things I'm really looking forward to. One being the higher player counts for console. What that's going to do, I kind of mentioned this in the last video, is the map designs. The maps will be designed with more fluidity in mind because they're going to work better on the higher player counts. Because if you play a lot of PC, I know you console guys may not get the chance to hop on these higher ticket count servers, but they don't always work. Some of these maps are just way too cluttered for, anything above like 32. Sometimes, 48's not bad, but when you get up into 64-man servers, some of these maps just don't work. So I really look forward to the next-gen consoles allowing Battlefield 4 to kind of think beyond the maps, expand into a bigger mindset. And I know I touched on that a lot in my China Rising video, but I just want to kind of emphasize that higher player counts equals better maps, and it opens up the door for bigger squads, because that's one of the big things that I'm kind of apprehensive about. 4-man squads, they work, but I would like larger squads, because when you play with a bunch of friends, 4 men, 3 other friends in a squad, that's nothing. I mean, a lot of times someone's got to be the odd man out. So I would like to see 6-player squads. And if they made it 24v24, by default, so 48-man servers on the next-gen consoles, we might be able to implement larger squads into the game. And I would actually like to see it where you could maybe possibly have a choice. Let's say you're a server admin. You could essentially make bigger squads. So if they decide to go with default 4-man squads, perhaps maybe give server admins the ability to turn on larger squads, so 6-man squads. But the idea behind that basically revolves around the new console's power, the fact that it's got 8 gigs of RAM in it. And I know someone actually brought up a good point that the Xbox One actually looks like it's going to be a little bit less powerful than the PS4. Which is actually kind of interesting, but they're both going to have 8 gigs of RAM, and that's important because the one thing that held back Battlefield 3 on consoles was the RAM. You couldn't put larger servers in there with higher player counts just because the RAM couldn't handle it. The consoles just could not keep up with it. But I think from what I've seen, both the Xbox One and the PS4 can keep up with a lot of the mid-range PCs out there. that's going to be good because it's going to keep the game from getting held back. I think one of the things that a lot of PC players get frustrated about when we talk about BF3 is that they feel like it was developed for console, which, you know, the consoles were severely outdated. They have been for a while, and it just held back the game. I think that they're going to split the development, though, like I mentioned earlier in the video. I don't think that they're going to allow Battlefield 4 on Xbox One and PS4 to be hindered by the development of the PS3 and Xbox 360 one. And what I mean by that is they're probably going to split the development. They're going to let some other team, you know, focus on optimizing it for the older consoles, whereas the core game that we get on the new, you know, the next gen consoles and PC are going to be a little bit more fleshed out. Yeah. I think that's going to be a good thing for everybody because the newer consoles and the PC are going to get, you know, the full experience that they feel like they deserve because it's, you know, really good hardware. But let's say you can't afford it or you just don't want to update from the old consoles, you'll still be able to get a pretty solid Battlefield 4 experience. So I'm really excited about that. I really don't have any bias towards console or PC. You know, I'm not on any side of the fence. We're all gamers in the end, and we all just want to play the best Battlefield experience that we can. So I'm pretty excited about it. But one last thing before we go, and my most important thing, and a thing that a lot of people are overlooking, is the cloud service that both the PS4 and Xbox One are going to have. And essentially what that is it's a patching process. So now when games get patched, they get patched to the clouds. And a lot of people haven't talked about this, but one of the most painful things about Battlefield 3 was that we had to wait on the consoles to get patches. It took forever. We were getting patches like once like every 3 months or something ridiculous like that. It was not very often. And it caused a lot of the glitches to stick around a lot longer. And because they wanted to have, you know, uniform gameplay across console, Xbox 360, PS3, and PC, they didn't want to patch one before the other. It really slowed it down and it made it really painful. Not to mention that it's really expensive to patch a game. I think it costs like $40,000 for them to send out a patch. So quite expensive if you think about it. I mean, not a lot of developers would be wanting to pony up that much money. I mean, I know EA makes a ton of money, but that's beside the point. You know, I think now with this new cloud service, we're going to be getting patches a lot more often. I think that they're going to have the ability to push out patches much quicker, which means that a lot of the glitches and weird exploits that existed in the game will get fixed a lot quicker. And that's going to be important. And I think that's probably the thing that I'm looking forward to most in the next gen consoles, because now we're not going to have to worry about, you know, Xbox Live and Microsoft approving a patch before it can go live on PS3 and PC. So I always thought that was kind of silly as we do win the game there and I look up and there's like 6 people parachuting in and I'm like, oh crap, are we actually going to lose? But yeah, we ended up winning there right at the end. So with this video wrapped up, you know, all my points have been made. Let me know, what is the thing that you're looking forward to most with the next gen consoles? Is it bigger player counts? You know, is it faster patches? Let me know in the comments and I will see you guys next time. Peace.